Right, this is the one everyone's been waiting for. It's time. It's time to do Rostermania. I was meant to do it sooner, but we had to wait because I knew there was a few stragglers, still a few moves going on. But we have got most of them done, most of them over the line. It's going to be filled with everything. There's going to be thumbs up. There's going to be guitar noises, like me doing this, edit something over that clip. There's going to be the Overwatch fart noise.
Nerf this.
Maybe you can make it look like it's coming out my mouth, like that. Anyway, yeah, or the pog for the thumbnail. I'm pogging! There you go. We've got it all. So anyway, let's do the Rostermania. It's actually been a good one. Pog me till I fart. It's actually been a good Rostermania this time. The last Rostermania was shit because everyone had no money. Everyone was so bad that G2 with Hooksy and JKS looked good and got to win a couple of tournaments. It was just ass. But now we've turned the corner. You'll notice the esports orgs have basically fired all of the staff. And now suddenly they can sign players again. What a great business. And helpfully, right, got to give them credit where it's due. HLTV have done a thread called Rostermania. Some of these stories develop, so some of these aren't actual transfer moves. Twist says FaZe will make no changes. This was an interview at the Blast Premier Spring Final in Washington, D.C. Twist said FaZe are not considering any roster changes as far as he knows. The quote being, no changes. I think it's been talked about already in the team. Everyone enjoys playing with each other, and we have a great team chemistry, and it's something we're not going to take for granted. I think we like how it is, and we know we're just kind of exhausted, and it's been difficult to invest so much energy into the game. We're just going to try our best here and hope for the best, unless there's something I don't know about, but I'm pretty talkative in the team and vocal, so at the moment I can see that there's no chance. So I've got to say I'm a little bit disappointed. I genuinely think FaZe staying together and not making changes as we go into the second half of the season, and then obviously the start of CS2 when that's released, I think tentatively August, September time. I don't know. I really think FaZe need to make one change. I absolutely do. I don't know why they wouldn't. I think there's definitely like opportunities to improve the team. It could be that Karrigan bows out gracefully and they look to bring in an in-game leader that's capable of fragging a bit more. I'm not saying Glaive would necessarily be a good option, but obviously as we'll get to, Glaive's out there in free agency now. And certainly I could see there being upside, but obviously there's an option for Rain to go. And I gotta say it, I'm still not in on Brokey. Think Brokey is a very streaky AWPer. I think he makes a lot of mistakes. I know he's more scrutinized because he's an AWPer. I know he's a stats monster. I know he can go from being an MVP 1 minute to just a washout the next. But you can definitely make like one or two tweaks to FaZe to make them good. And the fact they're ruling it out and saying that there isn't going to be any changes is a bit disappointing. I imagine FaZe fans saw this and were like, because you know what you're going to get now. You know, FaZe are going to be that team that they're capable of beating anyone on their day. I mean, obviously, their ceiling is unbelievably high, but unfortunately, it just seems to be the case that they have games where they're just absolutely terrible. And it's not just Karrigan's lack of fragging. You know, their Mirage has become super questionable. And yeah, I think that's a good pull, actually. I think comparing them to where Virtus Pro were at the end of the Virtus Plow years with the Polish lineup, it's kind of similar. Like, you want them to do well. They're capable of beating anyone, but they're not going to have the potency for a sustained tournament run. So this is not an Overwatch fart noise. It's not a thumbs down. It's not a thumbs up, but it's just like, it's shaky hand. It's woo, woo. It's one of them. I would have liked to have seen them be a bit more ambitious in the transfer window. We saw here, Gaming Legion and Mouse are locked into advanced talks over the return of Suey, going back to Mouse Bots because he was obviously on loan. That was something that I don't think a lot of people knew, that Suey had come from the Mouse NXT team and was basically being loaned out to Gamer Legion. And I got to say, after Gamer Legion made it to the final of the major, I won't repeat my points about why I think that happened, but suddenly everyone's like, he must go to every team ever. G2 must take him and replace Hooksy, and FaZe should drop Karrigan, and Vitality should drop Apex. And it's like, guys, like this kid hasn't done anything yet. I know going to a major final with Gamer Legion really makes him a hot commodity, but let's just take a deep breath and look at the totality of his career. This is basically how Hooksy ends up in G2. And while he's a better player than Hooksy, I don't really know about his IGLing. That's something I'm going to have to look into personally before I make a determination. I think him going back to Mouse would be rad, because obviously I don't know how well it's worked out with Dexter. There's obviously talk about a change up there. So Suey was talked about and linked to like loads of teams. But anyway, this is mental to me. Can you believe that there was a bidding war for Fallen in 2023? I was watching this news unfold and I was like, what? Like a bidding war for this guy? I was like, it cannot be real. But all of the press, and these are Brazilian journalists that I respect a lot, talking about this stuff, the sources I trust, and they are saying that basically Fallen was being like bid after by like Furia, by Pain. So here's the report here that basically Fallen is at the epicenter of the upcoming shuffle in Brazil, which will cause a cascade of changes depending on what he decides. Believe at the time of recording this, nothing has been decided. But Furia cut drop from the roster, and they apparently were wanting to bring in Fallen, but Fallen obviously is an AWPer, and so I don't know what happens there. Also, I would imagine he'd want to be an IGL. And like, for me, listen, I'll say this. This might be controversial. I think Art has done so bad with Furia. Like, you've got Yuri and K Serato. I mean, I don't see how Fallen could do any worse than Art. If you replace him for Art, then you've got the secondary AWPing and IGLing thing covered. It seems that Art has just got fucking, more lives than Mario. It's crazy. But yeah, obviously as well, talk about Safe being cut. And then why would I bring in an AWPer who statistically is like on a very similar level to Safe and is older and has been getting worse each year? Why would I bring him in to replace Safe, who, yeah, he's been a bit of a disappointing signing, actually. Safe looked to be really, really good when he was playing in the Brazilian leagues, but then internationally, he's been a bit of a damp squib. He just hasn't gone off in the way that I thought he would. But Fallen can never be the answer. And then obviously on top of that, him being linked to Pain. Remember, Pain are a huge esports org. They've been around for a long time. Like, if I wanted to give like an equivalence in kind of like international terms, Pain are sort of like an SK Gaming. They've got that prestige. They've been around for a long time. It's just they haven't had great teams in CS for a while, but they were huge, like going back to 1.6. And they're a big org. They got money to spend. So Fallen going to Pain, I don't hate that. And of course, he could remain at Imperial. We just don't know. But the idea that there's like a three-way fucking bidding war for Fallen at this stage in his career. Keep in mind, this was meant to be his last year. He should have retired in Rio. I'll never forgive him for not retiring in Rio. Like, he could have retired to a standing ovation in front of all of his Brazilian fans in his home nation and been carried out of the stadium like on some god tier shit. He gets the microphone. He looks into the adoring crowd who are chanting his name. There's a tear in his eye and he says, I know I should probably retire, but I'm going to do one more year. It's like fucking DiCaprio in The Wolf of Wall Street, just falling, screaming, I'm not fucking leaving! I'm not fucking leaving! You only get these fairy tale moments like a handful of times in your life, and you've got to be there, and you've got to ace that fucking test, and instead you didn't. But yeah, Fallen being in a bidding war at this stage, I like the man, but as a player, I think he's fucking washed. And so I'm going to give that an Overwatch fart noise. I just think that's really bad for the Brazilian scene. This one, Stair set for Astralis move. So as we're about to get to, Astralis made some mega changes. But this one is very, very dear to my heart. I've got to tell you a story, and it's a sad story, okay? There used to be someone in my community, in my group of people, you people, the fans, I don't know, I never like using the word fans, but you know, the viewers, the watchers, the audience, they got, I must have blocked them, I must have blocked them, or we must have kicked them, or maybe they got kicked off the Discord, because there's an account on Reddit called 2 Hours Till Midnight, and it was made about 4 months ago, and here's what I know about this individual, because they won't stop talking about me. They're an American, they're a Destiny fan, they have created a throwaway for the purposes of talking about CS, and they use all of, like, the fucking worst, like, nicknames for the players. Like, they call Device Divorce, they call Perfecto Defecto, they call Vitality Botality, right? I think what must have happened to this poor guy is he was in the community and then he got banned for some reason, and it's broke his brain because now he just posts about me, Thorin, and I know he's part of the community, and you're going to go, Richard, there's no way he used to be part of your community if he so vitriolically hates you like this. But here's how I know. Because on a thread called the Kawaii Skin Painter, where someone posted an anime thing on the subreddit, he posted Weebs Out, and that's it. It's a slam dunk. And he used to post banger all the time. Like, he was someone who obviously used to do that for BTN, because that would be the comment every week, banger, banger, banger. Was there? And he does it now on Talking Counter, I think, because it's like his way of getting like revenge on me, like I'm a jilted ex, you know, like I'll show them I'm having a great time. And so it's just got sad. Like he like somebody asked when I did my match fixing series, which I know I've just shelved that. Sorry, paying Substack, as it is coming. I'm working on it. Being a one-man newsroom's harder than I thought. To be fair, somebody asked, how much does it cost to sub? And he replied with, your dignity, which, you know, he's really upset at me. He also sort of couldn't handle the fact that I broke the fucking CS2 news. He really hated that. The thing he loves posting about more than anything is how I don't have a 100% accuracy record in reporting, actually. Someone trying to ride, this is Overdrive, posting about CS2, just a clout goblin. And he said, every influencer is trying to ride R. Lewis's momentum. And he says, as if Dick broke the news. They're all the same. Of course, I did break the news, didn't I? And you're never going to get me on that. You're never going to get me. So anyway, it's sad, but this is what happens all the time. Some of my biggest haters, they started out as fans. It's just as simple as that. And for whatever reason, I unknowingly block them because they say something stupid on Twitter, or they act up on Discord and they get kicked out. You know, we had that German cheater guy, didn't we, from Vax Sucks, who just had a meltdown on Discord one day and then started sending me like unbelievable hateful diatribes about how I'm a journalistic hypocrite because I wouldn't allow him to express his opinions on a Discord when I wasn't even there. You just get bunt stiff leg. You just get nutters, and you know I've always attracted nutcases. So there's not really a lot you can do about it. But anyway, this guy, when they were talking about CS2, and everybody wanted me to be wrong, so they could all hate me and abuse me, and people were, even though as soon as I announced it, people were threatening to kill me. He said, 100% track record. I must have missed Stair playing for Astralis, laughing my ass off. And this is because back during a No Majors club, I said, listen, I'm less interested in doing roster moves now, but I'll tell you one that's going on behind the scenes now, and it's a done deal, and it's all handshakes, and they've all agreed it, and that is Stair going to Astralis. Device really rates him. Device said on his way in to Astralis he wants him in the team, and that's an assumed promise, and they did a deal with Sprout. And it's all been handshakes, and I said that. And this guy, I couldn't be bothered to find all of his comments about this. I'm just going to show you a couple. But this guy says that me saying that, and then Stair said he was staying with Sprout, This is like 4 months ago or whatever. He said, that's me 100% being wrong about it. And he was posting clips from the No Majors Club of when I said it. He was spamming that, and the mods have deleted that spam, unfortunately. But anyway, I must have missed Stair playing for Astralis, laughing my ass off. He went on to say it again on another thread where people were talking about my accuracy record. Here it is. Laughing my ass off. Must have missed Stair playing for Astralis, since according to Dick, it's been all wink handshakes all done since the Rio Major. Which of course it was, because I'm right and I know what I'm talking about. So I just want to fucking say, how's the fucking Stair move today, dickhead? How's my accuracy record today, dickhead? Imagine being a fucking hater. Imagine being an obsessed fucking hater, posting about me every fucking day, posting the same stuff every day, calling players shit nicknames to fill your empty fucking life, dickhead. And now who's the dickhead? Oh, it's you, dickhead. Wrong again. 100% accuracy record again. You're a sad cunt on Reddit. A fucking nobody. Too much of a coward to even post on your main. Some guy probably back from the Destiny days. A fucking loser. And what about today, dickhead? Is Stair playing for Astralis, dickhead? Oh, he is, dickhead. Was it agreed upon when I said it was? Oh, it was. Unlucky, dickhead. Unfucking lucky. Absolutely in shambles. Can't help but notice you've stopped posting that all of a sudden. So anyway, did just want to get that in there because, as I say, look, I'm phenomenally fucking petty and I notice all of them. And if you're talking shit about me on the internet, I'm keeping the receipts. You never get one past me. Mama didn't raise no fools. Anyway, back to Rostermania. So we'll talk about Astralis at length more in a moment. Then we had official Hampus replaces Alexi B in NIP. Now, you'll remember before this move happened, I did say after the major, I said if NIP didn't do well at the major and didn't have like a deep run, there were going to have to be some questions asked about Alexi B. Now, I don't think it's as bad as people say. I want to make that clear. I saw a thread the other day, and it was like, what's all the fuss about airline food? No, it wasn't Seinfeld. It was, what's all the fuss about Alexi B? You know, it was like that. What's the deal? And basically, they wrote up his career to make it sound like the shittest career ever. And then when I just don't, and of course you can totally rewrite it. Like his achievements are pretty good. Getting to a major final with an all-finish lineup. I do believe Ents were #1 in the world at some point during that run. I don't know for how long for, but if not, they were certainly second for a prolonged period of time. You know, so that's an achievement. Winning a tournament with that garbage OG lineup is crazy. I think that's like a good achievement. Winning anything with OG is a good achievement. You know, it's really interesting, isn't it? Hooksy is the Giga Chat because Hooksy won a tournament at G2, their first in 5 years. Alexi is bad. He only won one tournament at OG. Their only one. All right. Okay, cool. So, yeah, I don't really get it that that's suddenly invalidated. But whatever, plebs are going to pleb, as I said. So at G2, I think he had an unbelievably hard job. G2 were not ready to bottom out, and you'll know from my coverage at the time, Xtaz was undermining Alexi B in public. You remember that? He was saying our CT sides aren't very good and they need to be. We're philosophically different about the game. I've got a lot of respect for Xtaz, but if you're an IGL and your coach is doing interviews saying the IGL and me don't see eye to eye and he's not, we're not as good as we should be because of him. Not only are you making his job harder because the fans are going to turn on him quicker, you're also creating a needless tension, but you are also encouraging the players on the team to pop off and criticize him as well. So I thought Alexi B had an unbelievably tough job at G2. I think, you know, they weren't quite, it wasn't even the great G2. Yeah, he did get Summer Munacy on the team and probably underperformed, but it was still when they had Jax, and Jax was clearly a player past his prime. And so I know, I would have liked to have seen them stick it out with G2, and had they swapped Jax for JKS as they did and given Alexi a run with that lineup and cut Xtaz, maybe G2 could have still won some tournaments, particularly in a very weak field. You know, we'll never know. That's the alternate timeline. Now, he goes to Ninjas in Pajamas, and I have to say, this is the one that's disappointed me. He's had good players in his team. It's ninjas in pajamas. NIP are always a fucking travesty. They're always going to do things. They've had arguments with players over sticker money, the device saga. It's NIP. They're just a clown org, like ninjas in clowns, I believe is what people call them. But anyway, he got the players he wanted, and he had a good lineup. He had to do better with this lineup for me, and I get it. And I like Hampus, and I thought Hampus was a little bit unlucky. Like, yeah, their T-sides were notoriously terrible under Hampus, but they were improving at the time he got cut, which always seems to be the way. And so, yeah, I don't hate this move. I think Alexei, obviously, it looks like he's going to Na'Vi. We'll talk about that in just a little bit, where I think Alexei B might be the most cursed guy, because he's going to get all the right opportunities at all the wrong times. Like, it was the wrong time to be at G2. This is definitely the wrong time to be joining Na'Vi. It was the wrong time to go to OG. Like, I just think he's, like, always one step behind where he should be in terms of his career moves, and I don't think this is going to be any different. We'll move on to the next story. Yakinda to remain Liquid's IGL. What's hilarious about this, as we'll get to with the roster move, this one decision basically killed NACS. So I'm going to just say this. Nitro's retirement was handled pretty well. I've got to say, Nick's always been a class act, and yeah, it was the right time. He didn't really do anything when he came back to Liquid. It was nice to see him get a last hurrah, because he's a wonderful human being, just a cool guy. And I think he handled himself with class and dignity on the way out. His video was really nice. Like, he put a video out to say thanks to counterstrike for everything. Liquid obviously were very thankful to him. The community were very thankful. He's been a great player for NA and been associated with some great teams, and he's been a model professional, and he's the type of guy you want to lionize in your professional scenes. So while I'm sad to see him go, I think just in terms, he is someone that it's the right time to go, but he's going to be missed just as a personality in the scene. I hope he sticks around CS in some capacity. He's a quiet, unassuming dude, but would be fantastic on a desk. He's a guy who absolutely could transition into broadcasting if he wanted to do it. Very articulate, very well-spoken, very intelligent, just doesn't put himself out there. Anyway, keeping Yakinda is your IGL. This isn't it, bruv. I do not understand this at all. Let's be absolutely clear about what's happened. Yakinda has moved into Liquid. He has established himself as like the smart one in the team, right? And basically usurped Elige, usurped every other authority, and now he's bringing in, like, let's get some European players in, eh, guys? Fuck you, lousy Americans. Like, he has absolutely destroyed the core of Liquid's identity, and they're going to suffer for it. They're going to pay for this. Yakinda, I don't get it as an IGL. I want explosive Yakinda. I want Yakinda making big plays, bold moves, entry fragging out of his mind, pogging out of his gourd. That's what I want from Yakinda. You can't do that and call a game. It's the limitation. And unfortunately, he's just got in there and just fucking just eating them out. Now he like one of them wasps, you know, it's fucking, he's just laid the Yakinda inside. Now Yakinda's ready to reach his final form, and it's going to be at Liquid's cost. So I don't like this at all. It's not an Overwatch fart noise, it's a thumbs down. But as we'll get to, we can talk more about the roster move that they made. Now, this is interesting. EG were in talks with so many players. Jax was one of them. Now, look, thoughts about evil geniuses. I mean, basically, by the way, every time I say evil geniuses, just replace evil geniuses with the Overwatch fart noise. The name is just synonymous with those big old cheeks rippling away. They're absolute garbage. I just don't understand. I've never seen an org mismanaged like this. Like, Astralis is one thing. They took the #1 team in the world and a goated core and basically ground them to dust, and then lost their identity, made questionable decisions, sacrificed young players on the altar of experimentation, and don't have a lot to show for it. But that being said, at least they had deep runs. At least they still had prestige. EG took North America's biggest name, and I mean that. You know, like, it is the biggest brand, and that management team came back to counterstrike. They were given a head start by the fantastic work at NRG, run by savvy, smart, intelligent people that, had scouted out and assembled a great team. They were given that head start. EG were like #1 in the world back in 2019. And then once the levers of control were given over to them, you end up with this. It's been a shambles. I mean, just as we'll get to later on, they have just added player after player after player with no consistency, no rhyme or reason, 15-man squad rotations. Like, this is a joke. This is like, it's like if you gave your little brother a go on fucking Football Manager and you put the unlimited money cheat on or something. He's just signing everyone. Like, I'm playing Messi and Ronaldo, and just, except they're not getting Messi and Ronaldo. They're getting fucking Wiz and Neelan. So yeah, it's really bad how much money they've blown on it, and they went after so many players in this off season. And I'm just tell it straight. My gut feeling is they couldn't get top players to sign. I don't think any of these players. I think if a player joins Evil Geniuses, they have no other option on the table. And so loads of people, like Kassad asked the question publicly with one of his tweets where he said, like, what's happened here? Like, why couldn't EG make a single signing? And I just think it's like, look, the only reason to go to EG now is to get the bag. I don't think you're getting the bag if you go to EG. I think you're getting a reasonable player contract. It's not a bag contract. It's not like price tag, ESSA tag levels of bag. You're getting just a regular bag, a sack, a Hessian sack. And people aren't going to go with dysfunctional org for that. You're going to get laughed at. You're going to get memed on. You're not going to win any tournaments. You're only there by virtue of invite. Surely these invite leagues now, with the news that I broke from Valve, surely these invite leagues now, the first person you're going to think about cutting to try to create space so you can maybe pander to Valve and have like qualifiers, it's EG. They offer absolutely nothing of value. So I think players are cognizant of where EG are at, and I think no one's going to sign for them. So them being in talks with Jax, it wouldn't have moved the dial, wouldn't have improved the team, but I said, as we'll get to, nothing actually ends up happening. So again, just Overwatch fart noise a million times. Then we had this story break, and it was Na'Vi are going to remove Nipple and consider going international. And it looks like that move is indeed coming to pass. When we get there, I'll rate the move, even though it's not been 100% confirmed yet. But let's just talk a little bit about Nipple, or NPL, as people have to call it. But no, it was definitely Nipple. He even drew a nipple, didn't he, on his sticker signature. He wasn't good enough, and Na'Vi are letting the situation, letting the war between Russia and Ukraine, it's now informing their roster choices. And it was said months and months ago that basically they wanted to only hire Ukrainians initially so they could keep it monolingual, but things have escalated now to a point where they just don't want Russians around the brand. It's as simple as that. Think about stories that I published when I'm still at Desert, or when Na'Vi removed like their Russian admins from their Faceit hub, just removed them. I think they were like voluntary workers, some of them, just got rid of all of them. So, but anyway, the point is Nipple just wasn't all that good. You can look there for yourself, 0.93. I know he's only 17 and he has got the Astralis neck, so anything's possible. But the bottom line is he didn't make the grid. And, Na'Vi have had an incredible track record of discovering talent. Munacy, Head Trick, the other guy whose name I can't remember, and ultimately this just wasn't it. Blade thought he was ready, he wasn't. Blade's got to take the L on this one. I don't know when he'll next get an opportunity, but I don't think he's going to get one, honestly. I don't think we'll see NPL like outside of a team like maybe Monty or whatever, and it's fair, just a bit too soon. Na'Vi are a big team to play for, difficult international situation going on, lots of pressure. You're playing with the greatest player of all time breathing down your neck and being deliberately critical of you. Remember, I think there were reports, was it, that he wasn't even eating with his team at one point at one tournament? So I don't know. It's a thumbs up. It's the right thing to do. But it's sad. It's just one of those. Jerry and Zorte are open to proposals, which is Forza. Again, all these Russian organizations are having like a weird time because they've got no money coming in. Nobody wants to sign Russians unless, of course, you're Cloud9, in which case everyone's fine with it. These are two players that would be, if we didn't have this war going on right now, these are two players that could go to an NA team, go to a European team, and they would be very, very welcome. I think low-key, everybody knows that Jerry is a fantastic, like, low-key IGL. Like, all the shit everyone was saying about Sui, you know, with his run at Gamer Legion, really, Jerry's the man on that stuff. He's a great tactical guy. He's built consistent rosters at Forza. He's done it with on a shoestring budget. They're always tactical. They're always competitive. He's a decent individual player. And so I think Jerry's like highly desirable, especially if you were like in the middle of a rebuild. And then obviously Zorte is like the star player on Forza. Was a little bit underwhelming last time out, but this is a guy that 1.11 rating, 25. This is probably going to be like the peak of where he's at. So it would be a good time to get him, if you're able to do so. Obviously, it looks like that Forza lineup's going to break apart. We'll just have to wait and see. Then we have Falcons signed MHL and Lonks. They were also after Boros. For those who don't know, Falcons, and a lot of people think of them as French, but I think basically you have to sort of realize that they've got a lot of money. They've got a lot of money because they're the Saudi organization, and that's why they're getting invited to all these big events in Riyadh, even though their world ranking wouldn't really allow for it. They've had a traditionally French lineup, MBK's been over there, Body's had a bit of a renaissance, and they're making some, big moves. MHL is a very interesting signing. I think low-key, MHL's been like a player ready to get the opportunity to play in a bigger team than Falcons, frankly. And he was wanted by Team Liquid at one point. At the end of the day, like, you could see he was too good for Endpoint. He's only 21. He's like absolutely sick. He's been talked about with big orgs before. I'm very surprised to see him accepting this move, but I am going to assume it's big money, and it's certainly adding firepower to Falcons. And when we have these events in Riyadh, assuming you guys watch, you'll see, because there's going to be some big teams at those events because everyone wants to get money. Lonks as well is a player that, 18, decent rating. I mean, it's like, look, they've definitely got some has-beens on that team and some players who aren't that good that I would definitely replace. So those are two good signings. I mean, like, for relative to the ability Falcons has on a roster, I'm actually going to give that 2 thumbs up. And I think with the resurgence of Body on the team as well, I'm just going to call it now. Falcons, they're not going to be in any of these invite leagues, so it's very hard to say where they're going to get to in the rankings. But let's just say, they're going to be knocking on that door. They're going to get some big scalps, particularly as the scene is still in flux, and we've got all these new teams coming in. Obviously, Masuta confirmed he was benched. Definitely one of the players that sort of had to go. He's always been a bit underwhelming ever since he came through Vitality for me. This was a surprise. Inner Shine departs Fade. Now, obviously not a player. Inner Shine has been there for a while now. He was working alongside Roban as an analyst. I know from talking to like Carrigan and other people, he got like a lot of credit. He did a lot of the groundwork to basically enable Roban and Carrigan to have a like smooth transition to when they wanted to disseminate tactics. I know it's been tough at FaZe, and probably what they're thinking is, we want to keep the lineup together. We still want to work with Roban. There's no chance Roban would ever get replaced. So how can we change it up and bring in some fresh ideas? And obviously they're going to go in by bringing the changing up an analyst. Again, you will notice he is Russian. I'm not saying that's anything to do with it, but right now, getting like visas, traveling the world as a Russian, very difficult. And so there's no time been wasted in terms of him getting picked up. He's gone to Aurora. He's going to be a full-time coach at Aurora. So best of luck to him. He's a good guy, one of those unsung heroes at an org. So thumbs up for Aurora, and I get it for FaZe. I'm not going to be critical of that move at all. This was the big shock. Liquid all of a sudden they're out there and they're signing players from Europe. And they are now a European team. Now, obviously, if you know your history, you know Team Liquid are a European organisation, essentially. Obviously, they've got their home base in Utrecht, I believe. The difficulty with the NA teams is they still want to be representing the NA region, particularly if they have a lot of the NA talent on the roster. Well, obviously, now with your Kindar coming in, it was always going to be likely that they were going to lean this way. And ultimately, it's an absolute shocker. They brought in Patsy, which was one of the finds like in his rookie season on Spirit, was absolutely sick, and don't let that 1.02 rating fool you. His first actual competitive LAN was a major. He's done really, really good. And then Rainwake is the one that surprises me. I'm going to say lots about this, which is going to be kind of controversial, so I apologize. First of all, I would absolutely, for reasons, not be picking up players from 500. I know we've all given up on sort of policing counterstrike, but I think we all know. Let's just say, if you signed up to them betting alerts, the name 500 are no fucking strangers whatsoever to being on those. And I wouldn't want to take the risk of investing in a player that comes from that org, comes from that team, just in case we find out something bad down the line. Now, that's not to accuse anyone of anything, but I'm just saying, if you're going to invest in players and spend money and give them a salary, and then ESIC might turn around. I mean, they don't even exist anymore, but, whatever replaces ESIC might turn around and basically, tell you something you might not want to hear about that player. Dangerous stuff for signing anyone off this roster, but whatever. That's just a fact. People aren't going to like hearing that. What are you accusing him of? I'm not accusing anyone of anything. I'm just saying, if I was making the decisions, that's what I would do. Here's what I will say. He's probably their best player. He's only 22. So suddenly Liquid has got this new, young, fresh look to it. Patsy, I get. Patsy's already had the break-in experience of playing at a major and playing at Spirit and having deep runs. This is a step up for Rainwaker. Make no bones about it. Made all the more crazy because he's essentially if you think about it like for like, he's going to be the replacement for Elige. And so I never thought I would see the day like that Elige would be out at Liquid. Like, I was thinking about this as well. Like, I was like, God, Elige must be pushing, like, he must be getting on because he's been around for so long. And when I looked at his age and saw Elige was only 25, I was like, what the fuck? Really? Couldn't believe it. He's just been representing Liquid and playing, fucking for so long. He was so young when he started. I was just absolutely crazy. And so, yeah, I guess I've got to talk about that. Biggest story, I never thought I'd see Elige out of Liquid. Remember, he's a co-owner within the organisation. He is Liquid. He is team fucking Liquid through and through. And I think sometimes that's been a problem. I think sometimes it's very hard because, you want to make cuts, but everything's got to go through Elige. We know the simple move. We know Simple and Elige didn't get along, and that could have happened. Historically, Elige has had a lot of influence, for good or ill, over this team. For him to be so ruthlessly cut, now he has been in like a massive slump of form of late, and he's had some very disappointing performances on the biggest stage. I know he was devastated after Rio, and he didn't really cover himself in glory after that either in Paris. So it's very hard to argue against it just on skill for skill. But I always thought Elige was going to get back. I'm telling you, I think probably Elige is like the he's the player you make a claim for as the NA GOAT, and he's still young. He's probably the one that I would like, all right, one last chance. But they didn't. He's been cut, and now your Kindar gets his boys, and Liquid are a European organisation. So, look, I'm going to say this. I like that Team Liquid have made bold cuts. I think the one thing you will always know about Team Liquid as an org and their philosophy is they're one of the few out there that legitimately do want to be competitive. In all of their games, they don't make signings to be fucking lazy. They don't make signings just to put, they're not evil geniuses. They don't just want to field a team to meet their contractual obligations. They want to be talked about in terms of excellence. And that's why Team Liquid have been such a prestigious org. They've got the right balance. They've got the sizzle of Steve Arhan's set and the American side of things, coming historically from Curse, and they've very much got the stake with Victor Guzens, who is an esports Hall of Famer for me. So, and very grounded, and has always kept the org where it needs to be in terms of resource management. So I'll trust the process, but I also tell you this, the fans are going to turn real quick if this team looks dog shit. Because you've cut a fucking hero, you've cut a legend to put this team together. So it has got to be right. So that's a shaky hand for me. It's a shaky hand. You've had beloved Nitro and beloved Elite go out, and you brought in Patsy and Rainwaker. Ooh, it doesn't get shakier than that. Then we also have this, the OG are set to rebuild. They did, but I mean, probably with the most underwhelming roster of all time. What's crazy is, you'll remember when I was doing that index stuff where the stock market for players, I went all in on Regali because they just picked him up from Fnatic to be a stand-in for a tournament. And by the way, I think they said, it's just so Dexter can have a break. I think, Dexter's a difficult cat. By all accounts, behind the scenes, he's got a temper, and so I think basically they were looking for replacements, and Regali aced it. Regali actually is a decent young player, and unfortunately has just been, in the Fnatic reserves rotting away. But he's ready to bloom. He looks really, really good. I think Regali is the upside here. I mean, honestly, getting rid of Dexter might seem crazy, but if it's not working, it's not working. And Regali definitely deserves a shot. This is a decent team for him to have it on. Dexter, it was like, I think he tweeted out actually, didn't he, saying he didn't know about the move. So he got told at the last minute. And that's crazy. He's like a huge player to be in like free agency. And someone should 100% free Dexter from being benched. But, unfortunately, I don't know if that's going to happen. He seems to have got a bit of taint on him now. But anyway, as a rebuild, what's gone out and what's come in, OG is garbage now. I can't see OG being good overall. I think OG are one of these teams where it's like they are in these fucking leagues. Again, just by the grace of having paid money to be so, they wouldn't be there on merit. And I think that what they're trying to do, it's very much in the spirit of what they did in the Dota team. But unfortunately, every time they've made a discovery, they've either sold them on or they fucked it up by adding some players to the team that just aren't good enough. And so I'm going to give OG, I think it's 2 thumbs down. It's not a fart noise, but it is 2 thumbs down. I think they're going to be really poor. And then we had confirmation of Boros joining Falcons, so we can just talk about Falcons a little bit more. But yeah, Boros was one of the standout players. I mean, when he was on Monty, I think people knew he was the real deal. I also call Monty, all of those other underdog teams were Fugazi. They're only beating unpracticed shit teams in Paris. But Monty were actually a legit team that had legit improved. They were the kings of tier 2. A large part of that was down to Boris's fragging ability. So, if you want to think about who's going to be the next big team with that potential in tier 2 to break through, like Monty did or like Gamer Legion did, it's 100% Falcons. They have some scary firepower now. It's all contingent on Buddy maintaining his form because he's been really good. But, they've got the veteran smarts there in MBK. Nothing flash, but just a good temperament, good head for the game, good teammate. Someone that's, going to be able to teach some of these young kids maybe a trick or two. And then they've just added 3 parts that just massively upgrade their firepower with MHL and Boros, who are going to be actual standouts. So Falcons, for me, are definitely that team to watch as we go in. They've spent the money, they've made the signings. And by the way, What's stopping EG putting a team like that together? This is how you know how shit Evil Geniuses are. Just think about it. Think about the money they've spent. That could be an EG lineup. Like, if you're going European anyway, why not put a team like that together? But obviously, they don't put a team like that together because they ain't got the vision. They don't even know who's good. And in fact, actually, if the one way you don't get into EG is being told that's a good player, because then they go, we don't want a good player. We want a player that everyone thinks is bad, that we make good, so then we can boast on social media about how we made them good because our process and blueprint is like years ahead. This is the thing you have to remember about Evil Geniuses. They're constantly trying to hype up their analytics and data-driven approach, and they have like a data company. It was one of the companies in their portfolio. It's pathetic. Like, it's actually pathetic that EG wouldn't put together a good team on a budget, which they absolutely could, but instead they're going to put together what they've put together, which we'll get to in a moment, which is trash and going to do absolutely nothing. Meanwhile, a team like Falcons can just put together, oh yeah, Boris was good in Tier 2, we'll get him. MHL's been smurfing in Endpoint, we'll get him. And now suddenly you've got a team that actually is going to turn some heads, 100%. And then, the big one. Hunden, Casper shit out of Astralis. I will do a separate video on this because there's lots to talk about. People seem to have already forgotten about the reporting I did with the Hunden files and the conversations that happened before them when Hunden was at Heroic and was having private conversations with Casper Fit, which basically were against it appeared to be against the interests of Heroic, undertaking tasks to the benefit of Astralis while taking a Heroic paycheck. It's all up on my Substack. You can all read it. But ultimately, it makes me think that maybe there's someone at Astralis who knows what they're doing. I don't know who made this decision, but this is actually the best thing Astralis have done in years. Forget the players. We're going to talk about the players, but forget the players. Forget any signings they've made. Forget any fucking sponsors they've signed. Forget any piece of content they've created. Forget any tournament run that they've had. There has been one voice holding back Astralis for this entire time, and it was this fucking Casper Fit, who was hired because he's a fucking handball goalkeeper legend in Denmark, and he basically impressed Nicola Lyholm in a fucking conversation and got into a job that he absolutely was not equipped to do and has consistently failed at the entire time. And this is great for Astralis fans. I'm not saying you can feel good about where things are at right now, but you can at least breathe a sigh of relief that things actually might be going in a forward direction. Because everything that was being done, basically, get this for a fucking chain of command, and then understand why Astralis has been dog shit for all this time. Here's the chain of command. Nicola Lyholm meets Casper Fit. You are a great handball player. I love you. Oh, what's that? You even had different seating arrangements on a team bus? You're a genius. Here is one of the biggest orgs in esports with the greatest CSGO team of all time. Surely now we can only go in one direction. Fucking right, down. Casper Fit, by the way, total autonomy in the organisation. I wrote articles about it when I was at Deserto, so this isn't talking out of school, basically had friction with the players, was demanding that players come in and train like it's sports. Friction with Zonic, no flex. He was the guy who was publicly posturing about, burnout is a very important issue, and he was the guy that was putting together the training protocols and the demands that was burning the players out. I mean, it's staggering to me. But anyway, Casper Hit meets Hunden, and then post-cheating scandal Hunden, and suddenly becomes utterly enamoured with Hunden. So from Nicola Nyholm putting Casper Fit in charge, Casper Fit's muse was fucking Hunden, a cheating, duplicitous piece of shit. And so Astralis was only going to get fucking worse. Go back and watch my videos when they signed him. Astralis fans should have stopped being fans on that day. That was the dark day for the org. Making Device come out in the media and go, Hunden's actually a great guy. It must have been vomiting up a turd. It must have been so hot. Poor Device, by the way. You know, like, because now everyone criticizes him for that. It's Astralis. They write your fucking tweets for you. They just use the player's rep to say whatever they need, all at the behest of that mad PR guy that intimated Yanko was a bad person behind the scenes for some reason. So anyway, Casper Hit being out is brilliant, and it's long overdue. But them cutting Hunden, this says to me that, first of all, this ongoing lawsuit issue they've got with Heroic, there's got to be something to it. It also says to me that Hunden was Casper Hit's man, and the people that are there who want to change want him out. It also says that they're listening to their shareholders, investors, and sponsors, and also probably the players. Because I can't imagine the players who were there wanted Hunden around, you know, especially when they make changes to the roster. These are new players. They don't even know who the fuck Hunden is. They don't know him from the old days. They don't know him pre-cheating. They just know their coach is a weird, fucked up, cheating piece of shit that nobody likes outside of Casper Hit. So this is brilliant. Like, and the statement was so good. After a period of fluctuating results, which has not lived up to Astralis' always high level of ambition. Think about how bad they've been for how long, and they're putting results on it. Putting it on results rather. It is time for a change, said CEO Anders Horsholt, adding that players, fans, and partners must go into every tournament with the feeling that we can win, but it has not been the case for too long, and today we take the consequence. Brilliant. So, listen, I think something's gone on internally. This is definitely the right move for Astralis. And as we'll get to, with the roster changes that come around, pretty good. Anyway, this was funny. Elige got locked into tug of war. Sort of like the Fallen thing, but actually, you know, with a player that, you know, isn't washed. Basically, the talk was he was going to Evil Geniuses. And there was lots of people, oh, wow, are these just coming Evil Geniuses? Automatic had tweeted out, by the way, expect the unexpected. How much of a cunt must Automatic feel right now, by the way? He tweeted, like, he did that tweet with the eye emoji or something, like saying, expect the unexpected. And this is like when they were in, like, talks with Jax, talks with Elige, and then it's like, oh, expect the unexpected. Yes, Automatic, you are playing with 4 rookies. Oh, bro, that org will fucking throw anyone under the bus. It's actually insane. Like, full-on, more cuckolded than Daps. Unbelievable. Anyway, it was reported that Elige was not interested in complexity because he was actually interested in joining Evil Geniuses. I don't know what this is, right? Because, like, by the way, Elige's buyout, $100,000. Right, considering the nonsense about 2 million for Electronic and Perfecto, like I don't even know, like I don't even get that. I don't even understand that. But Elige's buyout is reportedly around the $100,000 mark. So okay, you're getting him on a song. That's like an insanely cheap buyout for a player, not just of his caliber and ability, but actually his reach and like what an ambassador he is for the sport and how many fans he has. It's like you spend $100,000 on a player like that all day long. So it wasn't a surprise to see Complexity and Evil Geniuses in a bit of a bidding war, and obviously not a surprise to see what ends up happening. So it was funny that it was reported he wasn't interested in Complexity, because spoiler, we'll do it in a moment, he does end up there officially. Regin out at Endpoint. Obviously, known Reg in a while. Was involved in all the shenanigans, so don't want to say too much in praise. But I will say, I think Endpoint, they've been a solid little organisation, trundling along nicely. They've always had good people involved with them. They are profitable. They've had good signings. They've had decent rosters. They always lose their best players, and I guess that's part of it. They're like a UK Copenhagen Wolves. Sad to see a tenured coach leave, but I trust Endpoint will find a valid replacement, so not too much to say about that one. You can have a thumbs up, I guess. Then this is the maddest lineup I think I will ever see play for Na'Vi. Na'Vi want Alexi B. By the way, did we agree it was him or I am? Is it him? He's him. Please, players. When choosing a name, make it good. We've been saying that for 20 years. You got to start sometime. Like I just can't. He's him. He's him. And when I'm talking about him, I'm talking about him. Right? Okay. So Alexi B, him, and JL. Right? This is mental. This is like so crazy. Obviously, this means that we knew Nipple was out, but Electronic and Perfecto going as well. Alexi B stepping in as IGL. I'll just talk a little bit more about that here, because as I said earlier, he's in hell. He doesn't know he's in hell, Alexi B. But Alexi B, you like, I'm part of your death dream or something. Like, you're on an operating table, or you're in a coma. You're in hell. You're with the devil right now. His career has always been like, he should be the most decorated IGL. He should have won more with Ents, probably. Could have even had a major under his belt. He should have won stuff at G2. Certainly Nip could have been a lot better. He did win something with OG. He just couldn't parlay into a sustained period. So he should have loads of trophies. He should have an incredible list of achievements, but he doesn't. And it's just like he's always just one step away. And now it's like, hey, Alexi, want to go to an RV and play with Simple and Bit? Yeah, do I? Well, no, you don't, mate. And I'm going to tell you why. Because if you think it was bad with Nico, this is very much Simple's Na'Vi. Like, if I was guessing, I would even say these are Simple signings. I would 100% believe that. I think Blade, he's been totally neutered at the org. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because of the positive things he said about Electronic in the press. I don't know if it's because Nipple was a bust. I don't know what it is, but the org seems to be very much out on Blade. If you remember the reports, Blade basically was meant to be leaving. There was talks that Blade was going to be out. He's staying now, and that's good news, but I don't think he's got the input anymore that he had. I think there was a period of time where Blade was both the heart and the brain of the team, and he could control Simple. He had Simple on a leash, and the team functioned, and they won trophies. Now, unfortunately, with everything that's going on, and Simple's definitely had a backslide behaviourally in terms of he feels he needs to be winning more. He feels the players around him aren't good enough to help him win, and he's saying it, and he's saying it publicly, and he's saying it very much clearly in games, on stream, and Blade's not intervening, and that's like the sign. Listen, I don't need another rerun of Clowngate where I never called Blade a clown, and the next thing I know, Simple's on his stream telling 10,000 people, a lot of them very angry Russians, that I called Blade a clone. I didn't. But anyway, the fact is this: it's not a sign of a strong coach. You are not a strong coach if you're letting a player pop off like that in the middle of the game and you're not saying anything. And so, he's an adult. He's been around a long time. He's played. He's meant to be the man over at Na'Vi. I don't think he's the man at Na'Vi anymore. I think they've all gone in on Simple. I think the combination of we don't want any Russians. It's almost, by the way, like they did go and say, hey, we need nations that really dislike Russia if you want to come and play. Like, well, who's next in the list after us? Get me a Finn. Get me a Lithuanian. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, okay, fair enough. Like, that seems to be the credo. The point being that Alexi B's in hell because he had to play with Nico while Nico was basically, still had a little bit of old Nico left in him, and he had Xtaz undermining him in public. Simple is not going to take any shit. If Alexi B it makes bad calls, he's going to say it. If Alexi B tells Simple to do something and Simple think it's the wrong play, he's not going to do it. Alexi B is in hell. He just doesn't know it yet. Next up with JL, I don't get this at all. I think Apex have been good, but I do not see JL as a Na'Vi caliber player. It seems very strange to me. I get it from like a role perspective, but I don't get it from a performance perspective. I feel like JL, I almost want to say placeholder, but obviously it isn't. By all accounts, these are the deals that are in place. This is why I'm doing this one. I don't think it's a rumor. I think it's legit. And then well, everybody has been jerking off over this guy at Gamer Legion and how good he was and how he popped off at the major and all that. But like his sample size isn't all that good, actually. In fact, like, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying he's bad, but I'm just saying, like, Gamer Legion's emergence is a relatively recent thing, and this guy's being touted as like going to be like a superstar. And I just don't know, like, he had a good map against Vitality in the final. He was out of this fucking world. I mean, he destroyed Heroic. He destroyed Monty. This is the peak of his form. But you don't have to go that far back to see where, like, his floor might be. If this is his ceiling and he's here now at 23, great. And if he can maintain that, great. But you don't have to go too far back to see games where he's like struggling to get into double digits, you know, struggling against Complexity, struggling against Astralis, and basically smurfing on the tier 2s, dicking on Godsent, sure, but actually didn't look all that good when he was making the step up. And so, look, it's a small sample size. I'm not going to make any bold proclamations, but I will say, like, the idea, again, that he just gets airlifted straight into Na'Vi. Na'Vi are one of the most prestigious esports orgs of all time. Off a handful of good performances in Gamer Legion at a weird time in the scene, plus with JL. I don't know, guys. This is another shaky hand for me. I honestly think this Na'Vi move, I think it's dubious. Right, then there was a meme, G2. They basically alluded to the fact they wouldn't be making changes. So I'll just give some thoughts about that, since this Rostermania video is going to run about 2 hours. I will just say G2 not making changes is criminal. I don't know what Hooksy would have to do now to get cut. It just seems G2 are happy to like languish in mediocrity. And honestly, I've already seen the signs, like based on that weird Hooksy like body language at the event. I've already seen signs that Hooksy might not be in a great spot with the team. I've heard that Hunter might be calling on some maps and certainly calling in the mid-round, and they're grooming Hunter to be like an IGL. I don't know. I think Hooksy is proven, unfortunately. Because look, I'm gonna just be real. Like, Vitality winning a major with Apex probably does prove that you can. The scene is so bad right now, you can still win the biggest tournaments of all time, having a player playing at an Apex level. You know, yeah, if you play Into the Breach and fucking Gamer Legion and, you know, teams like that, for sure. But ultimately, so forget the performance for just a moment. I'm still to be like convinced that Hooksy's a good IGL. I've just not seen it. I've not seen anything tactically in G2. What I've seen is that they're a team that, when they're unbelievable talent on the roster with Munacy and Hunter and Nico, when those three pop off, their T-sides look amazing, because they light up the bomb site, they fucking kill 2 people, and that's it, and then everyone's saving. That's still the meta. So I think ultimately the fact that they've got those players like popping off, I just don't know. Like I'm watching what they're doing tactically, and it's not blowing me away. It's very like a lot of it is very default. Some decent mid-round calls, which Hunter might be making those. We don't know. We'd have to listen to all of the comms. And I just think, unfortunately, like Hooksy was basically meaned into a job that he wasn't good enough to do. It's not healthy for him to be, you know, this is like one of the most scrutinized jobs in Counter-Strike. And G2 coming out and saying, we're not going to make changes. Well, now you are committed to commitment. And so being committed to commitment means you've got to stick with the motherfucker for X amount of time. You've got to give him another 3 months now. And I don't think that's good for G2. I think some of these roster moves that are happening right now are definitely strengthening teams. I think a lot of them are super risky, but I think they're steps in the right direction. And G2 not making changes when we've already seen how flaky they are. Like what happened at the last major. Like, you know, the last 2 majors, you're not there for one, you bomb out of the other. You know, to teams you should be beating all day long. Fucking Fnatic, for fuck's sake. A dysfunctional Fnatic. It's crazy. So, yeah, I just wouldn't have posted about not making changes, even though it's a fun video in jest. Big, Faven, who's, like, fallen out of favour and indeed form. I can't even keep up with Big, honestly. They're just rotating the same, like, 8 players, it feels, over and over again. So, and they're also just a coin toss team. There's something and nothing. Like, 1 minute, you're talking about Crimbo, and how he's popping off, and he's the future, and then Hyped's in, and then is he good, and then Crimbo goes bad, and then okay, but we've still got Faven, and it's just, I don't know. It's just big. Just big things. Vorberg to assess his options as EG look to move on. This is the story, of course, that Vorberg, EG's coach, is going to be going back into the pool. And I mean, listen, I really don't know where to go in terms of judging Vorberg. Definitely talks too much, definitely tweeting shit all the time, does that thing of being like self-pitying when they lose, and I'm so thankful to EG. Don't be thankful to them. They're a dog shit organization that are legitimately destroying people's lives. But for me, certainly had to be on the chopping block. There's talk of Malek's going to be coming back into the lineup and taking over. Malek is infinitely a better coach than Vorberg. More experience, more pedigree, more achievements, a better thinker. The whole nonsense that happened with Stewie 2K, putting Malek on the outs, was, again, another stain in the copybook for EG. But getting rid of Vorberg and bringing in Malek, that is probably one of the best things EG's ever done since they took the reins and started running this CS team. So even though I never thought it would happen, I'm going to give them a thumbs up. And I don't see where Vorberg's going to go next, because unfortunately, because EG was such a failure, Vorberg is going to be synonymous with that failure. So then, I said things were getting big at Astralis. This is the new look Astralis, guys. You remember what I said? Get you a guy who can do both. Blame F always was an IGL. Blame F, he's done it. He did it at Complexity. He was a super hard working IGL. That was back before the bait F memes, and everybody liked him, and now everyone pretends he's bad and that he's a beta, even though very often at tournaments he'll have the highest level of entry frags, out of everyone. He'll be a top 5 entry fragger and stuff like this. So, facts around Blame F don't fucking matter. But you see, Stare has come in. Stare, as I said earlier, with the What About Today dickhead, it's a great signing. It's one that's been on the cards for a while. He's looked great at Sprout. Device really rates this player. They duo together and stuff. So, yeah, brilliant. I had to say, the Altex going back to the talent. I don't know, actually. Altex, it's hard to say. Him and Buzz feel almost interchangeable. But I saw Altex when I was watching the Astralis matches that were happening. I was like, you know what? There's something about this kid. I saw him have some bad stat lines, but I saw him have some good games. And so I was like, yeah, actually, maybe Altex is the guy who stays in. But Buzz seems to be the one. He's got a little bit more experience. He's been part of that project to bring him in and bed him in, for later. Obviously, Zipnik's went down to Astralis Talent, and now Altex is going to take Zipnik's job. So there's washed, and then there's so washed. Basically, Zipnik's and Flamey need to get a fucking bait together, because when you're too washed for Academy with with those careers, I don't know, guys. Just call it a day. You must have millions in the bank. You didn't spend your fucking money, did you? Come on, just stop. Anyway, so the new look lineup is going to be Blame F, who's going to take over as IGL, Device, Buzz, Stare, and Borup. Before I talk about Blame F as an IGL, we'll get the Borup thing out the way. Loads of people are criticising Borup as a pickup. They're saying, why Borup? He was dog shit in Heroic. It's really interesting, actually. So first of all, if I remember rightly from my reporting around this issue, I do believe Borup was essentially the guy that was when Hundam was suspicious. Borup was the guy who was nah, I'm not gonna keep any secrets, and I don't want to be on this team anymore. I don't want to work with Hundam anymore. Borup was the dude that held up his integrity. So I'm just saying, he gets a thumbs up, getting a second chance just because he's a good guy. Next up, he was an unsung hero in Heroic. And by the way, you won't find any player who's played with Borup say bad things about Borup as a player. Very selfless player, and occupies a lot of roles that aren't very glamorous. And right now, obviously, they got to start giving Buzz the roles he feels comfortable in. There's a comfort issue there. They brought in Stare. We know what Stare's going to be doing. We know how Blame F likes to play, and that won't change as an IGL. In fact, a lurking IGL is ideal. And so Borup coming in just to basically be connective tissue in the team, I think it's actually going to work out. I'll put it this way, compared to what they had, their previous lineup, I like this lineup. I like this Astralis lineup. I actually think Blame F is going to surprise people. I think Glaive's tactics, I think nobody wanted to say it, but Glaive's tactics were behind the game now, behind the meta, He's a father. There were obviously issues at Astralis. I'm pretty sure he didn't having input from certain people he had to have input from. But I'ma just say, I think Glaive, he let his standards slip. I think it can happen to anyone when you've had a prolonged period of success. I think tactically, they were doing setups and defaults, and just, I don't know, it just felt like they were very old school. You know, maybe Sonic is the innovator, and, you know, obviously that duo being broke up, you know, maybe Glaive is the, you know, instigator and Sonic is the person that gets creative. Who knows how that dynamic really works? One day someone will have to do some content exploring it. Wouldn't that be good? If only esports wasn't shit. But anyway, I think it was the right time to bench Glaive. Now, I will just add right out of the gate, if I'm G2, I'm on Glaive's phone right away, because Glaive hasn't been playing well. His stats haven't been good. You can see he's dipped below the 1.0 rating, but he's motherfucking Glaive. That rating he's playing at now is still higher in terms of output, fragging output, than Hooksy's will ever be. Plus, he's Glaive. I've got to believe, if given a chance at G2 to work with Nico, Hunter, Munacy, JKS, it would rekindle his love of the game, and he would go all out to prove a point. Because, you know, we've talked about the question around Device. Was he a system player? You know, can he win tournaments when he's not on the Astralis roster? He went to NIP. It was a disaster. People say the same about Glaive. What could Glaive do as an IGL with another team? He just got lucky. He just got the 4 best players, you know, blah, blah, blah. I think if Glaive goes to G2, they're a scary prospect. Unfortunately, they're a very mediocre prospect under Hooksy. It's as simple as that. So for me, if I'm G2, remember, it's not even that far-fetched. That's not even fan fiction, because they talked about bringing in Glaive before they got Hooksy. That was nearly a move that happened, and obviously he stuck around at Astralis. I think Glaive G2, I think, watch this space. I wouldn't rule it out. I would definitely do it if I was G2, even if I'd made a post saying we're not going to make changes. Now that Glaive's in the rotation, I make the change, I make the call. But overall, right, let's talk about Blame F coming in. The fact that Blame F is a maligned player, the fact that, like, twats like Gowles, who, like, literally, Gowles doesn't even watch the games. He doesn't give a fuck. He just counts his money, his ruthless little Brazilian empire that he's built for himself, that pushed out all the good CS casters. So that's the garbage you're left with. And Gowles did a stream where he was, like, mugging off, like, saying, Bait F is disgusting. Bait F is the worst player. Look at how he baits his team. Look at how bad he is. This would never have stood him out. He was like going off, popping off, talking about like the Bait F meme. And the Bait F meme is, again, just a product of plebs with pleb opinions, not knowing the game and not knowing what's good. Now, look, sometimes it does look ridiculous because you will have round after round after round, like literally in a row, where Blame is the last person alive. But when you're a lurker, that can happen because your role, your timings are contingent on other people doing their jobs and getting frags. So as rotators come around, you're cutting them off from the map, or you're getting a timing. You know, the whole lurking style isn't just, I creep around the back. There has to be a reason for CTs to rotate, to move when you're playing lurker T-side. And that wasn't happening on Astralis. They were not a very active team in that regard. They would run into a brick wall, all die, and then, you know, Blame F's on the other side of the map, and everyone goes, oh, look, he's baiting them all again. It's like, no, dude, like, those Astralis players have got to cause some movement. That's the fucking role. And so it's been very frustrating for him. And it obviously got to him because in this most recent iteration of Astralis, the one with Altex, actually, if you watch how Blame F was playing, he was getting aggressive on the T sides. He was like right up there. He was sometimes spawn dependent, first man in, looking for picks. And so he's a versatile player. He's one of the best. Like, he's a stats monster. They might not all be super high impact frags, agreed, but he is an unbelievably good rifler. And he's done IGLing before and fragged out while he IGL'd. So he did that in complexity. So for me, I look at that lineup. Yeah, the Borup thing might be a bit underwhelming, but everyone was saying, why didn't they get Esatag? Because Esatag's buyouts is probably going to be fucking monstrous. Borup was available for absolute free. So, by the way, if this team works, and there's no way Borup is going to be worse than Zipnix was back when he was on the lineup, if this team works, this is like one of the most cleverly assembled teams in a long time. So, you know what? I'm going to go 2 thumbs up for this. I actually liked it. I'm back in on Astralis, guys. Getting rid of Hunden, getting rid of Casper, making these hard changes. You know, we saw how good Device was. Device, if he plays like how he's playing at the moment, he's got, like, this is a legit team. This is like back in the game for Astralis. Then, just to rant a bit more about EG, they lost their coach. They had talks with Zorte. That fell through. Elige fell through. Jax then fell through. They couldn't sign a player. So, to meet their contractual obligations, guess what they did? They cut their entire starting roster and promoted 4 of the EG Black players. Well, not their entire roster. They did keep Automatic. So, Breezy, gone after all this time. Refresh, he was there for 5 minutes. He didn't even have time to sit down. It's like, can I come in? Yeah, actually, no, sorry, mate. I'm on my way out. He didn't even have time to have a cup of tea. I don't think Neelan did anything bad. He's been cut. Wiz wasn't good enough. That's fine. He's out. And then they're promoting 4 of the players from EG Black. And, like, by the way, Maui Snake did a video saying, I love the direction they're heading in because these this is dog shit, guys. This is dog shit again. EG Black aren't winning games in Tier 2. Like, look at the lineup they've got. They might do better than a disparate fucking revolving door policy team, but there's nothing to suggest this is a good move. Absolutely nothing. That's Maui with his NA bias, probably. But, like, that is fucking crazy to me. And I just don't get it. So EG are just, for me, setting a new low. Now, obviously, they'll be insufferable. They'll win 1 map, and, you know, GamerDoc will be tweeting, hey, look at us, the talent pipeline strikes again. There is no way this EG team is going to, like, suddenly get good or do better. This is Overwatch fart noise again to the max. It's embarrassing. They held talks with all these free agency players, couldn't land one because the brand name is so fucking busted. Overwatch fart noise. Reverb, maybe with an Amogus in there, maybe modern SUVs. Do it all, Griff. Go nuts. Modern SUVs. Right. Vitality replaced Dupree with Flames. You shed a tear. Obviously, Dupree in history now, the player with the most majors with 5. One, you know, got his major away from the Astralis core with Vitality in Paris. But let's also be real. Dupree was washed until the major. He stepped up at the major. It was one of the reasons they were able to win, basically. Dupree actually turned his form around. And look, there's all these mitigating circumstances. Dupree not getting any younger, obviously, as well. Like, had to adapt his game a little bit to how Vitality are playing. On top of that, new father. That'll fucking take it out of you. People really underestimate that. They see these players have kids, and then they lose their form, and everyone's like, huh? Stress, like sleepless nights, needing to be at home more, you know, like just the joy of being a parent, and, you know, it's hard not to sort of hover, and, you know, everything, you know, you're still sort of like, oh God, so fragile, and then it's a full-time gig. It's a full-time gig, guys. Any player who has a kid, bank on them to have a dip in form. What Dupree pulled out at the fucking major was actually sick to even level up his game and enough so they could win. And sure, shame that their run is completely illegitimate and makes it one of the like least impressive majors of all time. Probably the least impressive major of all time, except maybe Starladder but whatever. The point being, it's actually a good move. Just on reflection, you know, he got his flowers, he gets out, the timing's good for him, it's very good for the team. He's replaced by Flames. This is great. This is the old guard being replaced by the new. Love the ebb and flow of that. I saw some madness, like Launders talked about it, like apparently some people were going, Zonix betrayed his boy. Like, what are you talking about? But put it this way, here's what was going to go down. If Vitality had bombed out, it would have been Dupree and Apex, right? And Magisk would have been the IGL. You know, maybe Dupree even stays, by the way, and they bring somebody else in, probably Flames too. But because they won the major, kicking your IGL after winning your most prestigious tournament don't pass. It doesn't work. So at the end of the day, Apex gets to ride again. They still knew they had to improve this team because if they'd had a different path, there would have been no glory in Paris. And they know that. They're not stupid. You can say lots of things about Zonic. He's as smart as a whip. He knows exactly what's going on here. And so, honestly, this is great. Ever since these two players emerged, Spinks and Flames. I remember we did an episode of Buying the Numbers back in the day where, Thorin and I were like talking about you could actually put together a really good like all-Israeli lineup, and these two would be the standouts. There was a huge debate about which players were better. Well, now you got both of them in one spot. And let's be clear. I know that Spinks, when he first joined Vitality, it was rough. We all saw Stinks. We all know the memes. But he's stepped up massively and looks very, very comfortable. And I think Flames definitely deserve better than OG, didn't he? So, I mean, at the end of the day, this is a great signing. This is 2 thumbs up for me. I love everything about it. I love that, Dupree's gone out, and he's gone out gracefully, and it's at the top, and who knows what Dupree's going to do. He said he's in free agency, he's not retiring or anything. Flames getting his step up from OG, which he's deserved. He's freed from that prison of mediocrity, and honestly, I'd still cut Apex. He's playing at a Hooksy level, and I think a lot of the time he tilts, and I think his tactics aren't great, but ultimately, I think now he's got a team that it just doesn't matter. I think that team's as good a core as you can probably put together right now. With Ziwu, Magisk, and on-form Spinks, and now Flames. Pretty good, isn't it? Spirit removed trio. Again, another Russian team collapsing. We know Patsy obviously ends up at Liquid. Siren as well. Another rookie player that they discovered. Probably the least desirable prospect out of the 3. And wonderful, this player who, stepped in, 18, AWPA replacement for, Dexter. And, probably didn't pop off as much as Dexter did when Spirit had their run to the semi-finals in Antwerp. But wonderful, looked to be a solid, good replacement. Another decent AWPA, and was pretty well regarded, I think. So I expect Wonderful to end up on a decent team. Siren, I don't know, but I think Wonderful's not going to stay in free agency for long. But also just super sad to see that Team Spirit team collapse because of all this fucked up geopolitical stuff that's going on right now, because that was a legitimately good team. They brought people through their academy like you're supposed to. It worked. They lost the star player. They replaced them. They maintained the level. I think it's a big loss to the scene. What happens to them, 2 thumbs down. But Wonderful is going to be okay. He is a banger of a player. And then this Complexity, they were the juggernaut, right? Yeah, since that initial let's build a juggernaut tweet from Jason Lake, this is probably the best thing that's happened to them. I also think role for role, Elige coming in for Fang makes total sense. By the way, Fang, not a bad player. It's got to be said. He just wasn't quite ready. He wasn't quite ripe. He had some very poor games. Good opposition knew how to punish him and hurt him, and that happened a lot. For me, it's the right choice, and hopefully he's able to go back to whatever's left of NA and continue developing his career, because he's a good guy and a decent prospect. But again, much like when Nork got replaced by Device, it's like you get told, oh, who's my replacement? Oh, Elige. Arguably the greatest NA player of all time. Right, well, yep, okay. No, I can't even be mad. I can't even be mad about it. What am I going to do? So this is great. Hallzerk, I told you, was going to be legit when he came in for Junior. You all were like, I don't know. I don't think so. He's been really good. This team still has. JT's got to go. He's got to go, and you're not making him go. But you know what? I'ma just say this is big for Complexity. It's big for the program. It's good to see Complexity being able to spend money again, because we didn't know when that was going to happen. And I actually think this moves Complexity up. Complexity had some good performances. They had some bad ones too out at the major. And I mean, if they can cut JT and get a fragging IGL, Complexity are one to watch. Elige for Fang, I think it's a good move. I think it puts Complexity back on the map. You'll at least be talking about them. You'll be watching their games, that's for sure. So 1 thumb up. Nicodos is going to be out at Fnatic. Now, we know Fnatic are going to be having a rebuild. This was reported over in Deserto. Overdrive did a tweet where he just went, Fnatic to cut 4 players. Because that's the standard of reporting he does. Which 4? Does anyone know? Which 4? Which team? Who's joining? Who's coming? Who's their replacements? Why are they doing it? None of that. 4 players out. Okay, brilliant. Cheers, mate. But anyway, this is obviously Nicodemus is going to be one of those players. I have to say, I think that Fnatic lineup, it started out okay, and then it ended up being pretty underwhelming. The only good thing that's really come out of it is somehow Crims is just the ever-living and still performs even now. And, you know, Messi proved, I don't know what he's doing as an IGL. Again, I need to listen to it. I'm watching his demos. It doesn't feel like they're tactically weak or anything in particular like that. I don't think they're very advanced, but at the end of the day, Messi still performed and fragged. So Messi has worked out pretty well. But the rest of them, it's been pretty boring. I lost all respect. I know it's a meme, it's an HLTV meme, but unironically, I used to like Nicodemus. I was like, oh, he's a bit of a meme, or he's a fun guy. When the Fnatic management got him a blue check, I know blue checks obviously don't matter now because you can just buy one, but somebody at Fnatic had to send emails to get him a blue check. He gets the blue check, and then he deliberately removes it himself because he said, and it wasn't a joke, I assumed he had to be joking, but he said, having a blue check changed me. I don't care about your career ever again, mate. Like, that's like, you're terminally online. Like, you're meant to be a fucking athlete, blood. I don't know what the fuck you're doing. So anyway, and like, you just pissed in that manager's face who spent all that time getting you the thing that you asked for. And basically, it's like if a runner, when you're doing a show, brings you a cup of coffee, you take one sip and goes, it's got sugar in it, and throw it in their face. You basically did that. So you are a cunt. Like, I know that. It's just cringe as well. Like, how does a blue check change you? What the fuck are you even talking about? It's just a tick after your name, and now everyone's got one. You know what I mean? Anyway, so, yeah, Fnatic are having a rebuild. Whatever. Get him out. I don't even care. Then OG. Fiku, Nexa, Regali, Keto, and Fasha. Now, if you thought it was bad before, listen, Regali's the only thing about that roster I like. And he's been on fucking Fnatic reserves all this time. I cannot think of a way OG could have put together a more underwhelming group of players. Like, it's actually insane. Like, OG were already like one of the weakest teams in these partnered leagues, but at least they had, you know, some upside. Dexter was most of that upside. That is probably one of the most dreadful tier 1 lineups I've ever seen. You've got a 27-year-old Fnatic reject, a 24-year-old big reject. You keep Fiku, who I guess he's young, but Fiku was already a problem on your team. And then, yeah, I like Nexa, fine with him, and you brought in Regali. Like, so basically you've got an okay fragging IGL, an AWPer that we're hoping is going to be good, but spoiler, you already had one of the best in the world, and 3 shit players. People in the chat saying it looks like an FPL mix. It looks like an FPL mix that would lose to almost any other FPL. If you got that mix, if you would be like, oh, fucking hell. All these pros playing, and I've got Fiku, Keto, and Fasha. Could have had simple. Yeah, really bad. Full Overwatch partners. And I just think OG and EG in these partnered leagues and the Blast circuit and stuff like that, I think they're going to absolutely embarrass themselves in the new season. The only one that we'll talk about now is obviously the Cloud9 news, and that is that apparently Nafani is out, Buster is out, and Electronic and Perfector will be coming in. It will be Electronic at IGL, Perfector coming in for Buster, Hobbit, Exile, and Shiro. And I want to say, like, put it this way, before we even get to Nafani and how Maui Snake is absolutely fucking just, so many W's right now, let's just talk about Buster. Buster wasn't it. I mean, Buster was really, really bad. I thought when the move happened, I was like, listen, people forget how good Buster could be. You know, Buster was one of those players, like, you know, but I was going back way, way back. You know, but like, Buster was absolutely fucking diabolically bad. He cost Cloud9 individually. Like, Maui can talk about Nafani's IGL in all he wants. Buster single-handedly threw so many rounds in his limited time in the Cloud9 team. So not a surprise to see him go. That experiment very much failed. And I would also say that, you know, look, it's very hard because, like, I'm not as out on Nafani's IGL in as Maui or Thorin or Kassad or any other analyst that criticizes him. For me, I think like he's just got to grow a set of balls. Like his entire playstyle, like Maui's accurate in what he's saying. Nafani wants to make calls based on information, so they're in a lot of the time. A Cloud9 round is in stasis until they get information. And that's his approach to the game conceptually. And I don't like that. I think you've got to play with balls. I think about all the great IGLs. They always, like down the years, they always knew when to throw in a curveball. They always knew when to take a risk. They always knew when to have a fucking Brexit on a tactic like halfway through. They always knew. Counter-Strike is full of those legendary moments. Nafani just, ever since we've come out of the online era and we've gone into, coming back to LANs, he's just been a scared little boy. Like, he just plays like a scared little boy. He doesn't make ballsy calls. With a team like Cloud9, you can afford to be aggressive. You got like players on the fucking roster that can rip people's heads off. You just got to unleash the beast. So while I'm not out on Nafani's, see, the reason this is relevant is I'm not massively out on Nafani's IGLing. And I'm not convinced by Electronics. And keep in mind, Blade was saying Electronic was a better IGL than Boomich was, but they didn't win anything. And I also suspect that might be a bit of kidology. I also suspect Electronic is sort of like, he might want to do it, but he might want to do it a bit too much. And by the looks, I don't think Simple was convinced with it. So, I don't know. I want super crazy fragging Electronic free from distractions. That's what I want. So maybe not getting Perfecto and keeping Nafani and dropping Buster and bringing Electronic in was the play. I don't know. But anyway, Perfecto coming in, slotting in like for like in Buster's roles, not a problem. It is an upgrade. Perfecto he's not had a great year so far, but low-key, he's a much, much better fit than Buster's going to be. Electronic coming in, if that move does go ahead, I'm going to say, I think it's huge for the program. I actually think Cloud9 look legit. I'll say, I saw this rumor going around that it was $2 million to get Electronic and Perfecto. This was another Overdrive tweet. I'm going to be honest, I do not buy it for a second. I don't think anyone is paying $2 million. And the thing is, it's one of those lies where it's like, it's one of those lies you let happen because it's good for Cloud9. Makes them sound like they've got money. But right now, everyone is hurting. I don't think anyone would pay $2 million for two players. I don't think $2 million for a deal. What, like, how much of that is Perfecto? Like, you know what I mean? Like, because Electronic, okay, let's say his buyout's $1 million. What, was another $1 million for Perfecto? No one's paying that. Even no one's paying $500,000 for Perfecto. It just doesn't make, it sounds like complete bullshit. So, yeah, I don't know. That doesn't make sense to me. Anyway, overall, how do I feel about this team? Everyone is massively on this team. Everyone thinks Cloud9 are going to be the world number one. They're going to conquer everything. I'm going to say this. I think they've come out of it a lot better than Na'Vi have. I think Cloud9 definitely have played the long game and now have a better team than what Na'Vi's going to put together. But equally as well, remember, we've got some established teams that aren't making changes. We got question marks around Electronic and his calling ability, how that's going to work. But you know what? 2 thumbs up. I got to go along with the hype a little bit. There's massive upside. If Electronic's calling unleashes Exile and Shiro, you've probably got one of the best cores in the world. If, arguably the, best. Certainly, it's G2-esque. Perfecto coming in for Buster, just having a steady, reliable player. Like, as I said, so many rounds fell apart for Cloud9 because Buster would fuck up. He would make a stupid play. He would push when he'd fuck up a timing. He'd get behind people. He'd whiff shots. He didn't seem to have his deagle anymore, which at least was like something. He used to be a monster deagle player. That was good. That was gone from his game. So Perfecto for Buster is just great in and of itself. Like, unironically, irrespective of the Electronic move, if Perfecto would come in for Buster, Cloud9 could be competitive again. It was like Buster was so bad. But bringing in Electronic and a new style and having Nafani go out, it's bold. But yeah, I think it's probably the right thing to do now. So yeah, that's it. I mean, what a huge Rostermania we've had. And keep in mind, it's still going. I could maybe do another 2 hours depending on how the signings go. And as I said, keep in mind, we've still got Ents, right? Ents haven't made any huge moves, but Ents are like, third best team in the world probably. I mean, they're better than I think they beat G2 for me. FaZe aren't going to make any changes. We don't know how good they're going to be after a break. Who knows? Obviously, Heroic, they've not made any changes. We know Heroic are very, very good. It's suddenly the scene. You know how, like, I've been saying the scene has been weak and the scene has been weak and everyone's playing bad CS? If these new teams actually practice and we get rid of these dog shit partnered leagues, suddenly we are talking about a potential great era for Counter-Strike. Fresh game around the corner, partnered leagues, a thing of the past, rosters, people spending money again. I think it could be really, really good. So, listen, I legitimately think we're going to have a very interesting, hyped up scene. And that's before Rostermania finishes. So there it is. All done.